In this early rescue training film, made for the Royal Life Saving Society in the 1920s, the scene is set for a somewhat predictable boating accident. The couple set out for a leisurely row down the river. All seems to be going very smoothly until they decide to change seats. The lady, a non-swimmer, stands up but loses balance and falls in. Panic ensues. The boat floats away out of reach. A few moments of indecision, and the man heroically dives in after her, only to find the current too strong, and is unable to reach her. Miraculously, a boat with 3 Royal Life Saving Society lifeguards happens to be passing by. Immediately, a lifeguard goes into action, swims towards the lady, and she is not only rescued, but her life is saved. So long as there are boats and rivers, accidents of this kind will continue to happen. But as the years have gone by, these rescue and resuscitation techniques have been changed and extended to take into account rescue and injuries of a more serious nature. Flumes and slides are now commonplace in modern leisure pools, but if not properly supervised, can become extremely dangerous and lead to a variety of injuries, of which the most serious are those to the spine and neck. A bather accelerates down the flume, closely followed by another sliding head first. The first splashes down and, with little time to clear the area, becomes an unintentional target for the second. A severe impact on the head and a compression injury to the neck, complicated by some lateral flexion. The bather lies limp, face down in shallow water, conscious but unable to turn over. The more traditional pool is not without its problems. A casual bather enters the water at the deep end. The chap on the slide, preoccupied with shouting to his friends, pays little attention to others around him or in the water. A hard kick in the lower back, the spine forced back over the impacting feet, an extension injury to the spine. Similar accidents can occur without flumes and slides by sheer carelessness. A bather comes running out of the changing rooms. A jump off the pool side and straight onto someone's back. An impacting foot forcing and bending the spine down into extension. The injured bather lies face down, unable to turn over. Most spinal injuries can be avoided with good pool management. But even though most poolside diving boards are a thing of the past, the temptation to dive can be too much for some people. The bather, already warned about the shallow water by the lifeguard, ignores his instructions. She dives in, strikes the pool floor with her forehead, causing a sudden backward extension of the neck, leaving her seriously injured. The consequences of spinal injury are so serious that it is vital the lifeguard is able to recognize a potential injury and then take the correct action to reduce the risk of further injury during rescue. A point that Simon Barnes, a victim of spinal injury, knows only too well.
The implications of spinal cord injury are very serious indeed, and I for one can vouch for that. Typical accidents such as the ones we've just seen are only part of the story. Medical experts all agree that incorrect handling of a casualty, both in the water and during recovery onto the pool side, can further complicate an already serious injury. Correct handling of the casualty throughout rescue and recovery is absolutely vital.
Why then must the spine be treated so carefully following injury? The answer lies in the complexities of its function and structure. The spine is made up of a column of 33 irregular bones called vertebrae, each of which articulates against the next but separated by thin discs of cartilage. These discs allow limited movement along the length of the spine, prevent friction, and act as shock absorbers. Running down the center of the spine is a large trunk of nervous tissue called the spinal cord. Its function is to provide a nerve connection between the brain and the rest of the body. Signals from sensory nerves in the skin, joints, muscles, and internal organs all pass along the cord to the brain, and similarly in the opposite direction. Nerve roots leave the spine along its length. For example, those linked to the legs leave the cord in the lumbar region, those to the arms in the cervical region. damage to the cord may result in either temporary or permanent paralysis of part of the body. The higher up the cord the injury occurs, the more serious the implications. For instance, injury to the lumbar region can lead to a loss of sensation and control of the legs and bladder. An injury to the lower cervical spine may result in quadriplegia, and an injury to the upper cervical region may also affect the control of respiratory and cardiac functions. It must be understood that the spinal cord is not only a transmission line for nerve impulses, but is itself living tissue and therefore requires oxygen to survive. Any interruption to the oxygen supply can lead to deterioration of the cord in addition to any damage that may have already occurred. The importance in maintaining a respiration and cardiac function is therefore obvious. It must also be appreciated that an incident may result in damage to the vertebrae without actually causing damage to the cord itself. It is the manner in which the casualty is subsequently handled that can have a profound influence on the outcome of the incident, where damaged vertebrae move and compromise the spinal cord, or pieces of bone are compressed into the cord. So let's return to the accident involving the bather jumping into the water and observe the correct rescue procedure. The casualty has been struck in the back and lies face down with a possible spinal injury. On observing the incident, the lifeguard blows the whistle and raises the alarm. The lifeguard approaches the casualty from one side and reaches under the casualty to place one arm, elbow first, up the line of the sternum, using her hand to support the chin. Almost simultaneously, she places her other arm, elbow first, along the line of the spine, with the palm of the hand supporting the nape of the neck and her outstretched fingers supporting the back of the head. Using an egg beater or modified breaststroke leg kick, the lifeguard now carefully rolls the casualty over onto her back and ensures that she is kept as level as possible and that her head doesn't move in relation to her body. Notice the lifeguard's left arm positioned in a straight line up the sternum, with the hand supporting the head, the forefinger and thumb forming a Y shape either side of the chin. This technique is called the vice grip, and arms, wrists and hands should be kept rigid with the elbows and forearms pressed gently but firmly together. The vice grip is physically very demanding, and it's important that the lifeguard is assisted by other members of the team as soon as shallow water is reached. A second lifeguard can then be directed to provide support for the casualty's head by placing his hands either side of the head along the line of the jaw, pointing towards the shoulder. A third lifeguard is directed to stand on the same side as the first lifeguard and provide support to the lower back and legs without lifting the legs unnecessarily. This allows our first lifeguard to remove the vice grip, upper arm first, and transfer support to the upper and lower back. Let's see the whole rescue sequence once more.
Run hands, that's it, get it nice and tight, leave it come to the legs, straight arms, allow the legs to float, do not lift. Okay, then get it nice and tight, I'm going to let go of the top arm now, that's it, and the bottom arm.
The vice grip is not suitable when the injured bather is in shallow water, as it is very difficult for the lifeguard to roll the casualty into the correct position and support the casualty's neck and head. The accident at the bottom of the flume occurred in shallow water, and here we shall see how an alternative technique known as the bear hug is used more effectively. The lifeguard's attention is drawn to the casualty lying face down. Recognizing a possible spinal injury, she shouts "spinal," sounds the alarm and enters the water. Approaching the casualty from one side, she slides her arms under the casualty's armpits and gently grasps the head by the side of the ears. The fingers are outstretched with a forefinger and the thumb either side of each ear. In this position, the head and neck can be stabilized by applying gentle but firm pressure to the head with the hands and to the upper body with the elbows and forearms. The lifeguard now begins to roll the casualty over onto his back, first by dropping her shoulder towards the water, and then rolling underneath the casualty to finish lying on the pool floor with the casualty on top of her. The lifeguard is now entirely submerged, and it is vital that other members of the lifeguard team are immediately on hand to take over the support of the head and provide support to the lower body and legs. The first lifeguard can now release the bear hug and come to the surface for air, still supporting the casualty's spine with one arm. As the third lifeguard has yet to reach the scene, she places her left hand under the back to provide support for the lower spine in the lumbar region. With the arrival of the third lifeguard, who supports the legs, the team can now carefully move the casualty towards the side of the pool and to a point where he can be recovered onto the pool side, preferably with the aid of a spine board. The board should be kept in a readily accessible place adjacent to the pool side and ready for immediate use. In our simulated rescue, the spine board is brought to the pool side by another member of the lifeguard team. He enters the water and prepares the spine board by first unclipping each of the colored buckles and releasing the black straps, and then releasing the straps attached to the head restraint. The board is now transferred onto the water and brought alongside the casualty with the head of the board carefully aligned with the casualty's head. The board is now tilted and pushed down beneath the casualty, its natural buoyancy causing it to float upwards and into position under the casualty. The lifeguard supporting the lower limbs removes his hands and moves round to take hold of the foot of the spine board. Similarly, the lifeguard supporting the lower back gently releases her support and takes hold of the spine board at the head. Notice the lifeguard on the left supporting the casualty's head. She maintains this support while the first of the 5 body straps, identified by the green buckle, is secured around the casualty's chest. This effectively stabilizes the casualty on the board. At this stage, the head restraint is positioned over the casualty's forehead, and the 3 straps gently tightened until the head is firmly secured in position. The remaining body straps are fastened with each of the plastic buckles, ending with a white buckle securing the legs. When the team leader is satisfied with the security of all straps, the casualty is turned round and brought headfirst to the pool side for recovery from the water. For this part of the recovery, 3 lifeguards remain in the pool, one either side of the casualty's head and the third at the foot of the board. The team leader takes up position on the pool side at the head of the board. The board is lifted horizontally and the head placed gently onto the pool side, and then carefully pushed horizontally and completely onto the pool side. The casualty should then be quickly covered with a blanket to await the arrival of a medical team. Removing a casualty from the water must always be done with great care, and this is particularly the case in the event that the spine board is not available, or the circumstances dictate that removal must be done immediately, as would be the case where the casualty had suffered a cardiac arrest. In this situation, at least 4 lifeguards are required in the water and a 5th on the pool side adjacent to the head. Lifeguard A holds the casualty's head. Lifeguard B, standing adjacent to the shoulders, supports the upper back and is in charge of the lift. C stands adjacent to the hips and supports the lumbar region. Lifeguard D supports the legs. The 5th lifeguard, E, kneels on the pool side next to lifeguard A and will take over the support of the casualty's head as the casualty is placed onto the pool side. With all lifeguards in position, the controlling lifeguard is now ready to give the command to commence lifting.
Right, palms down everyone. Now on a count of 3, we're going to gently lift him clear of the water, take a pace forward towards the side of the pool, and gently lower him onto the pool side. Dave, as we lift the casualty up and move towards the side of the pool, will you place your hands on top of Linda's? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
The casualty is gently raised, moved towards the side and gently lowered onto the pool side. Hands are removed one by one, starting with the lifeguard supporting the legs. Each hand is slowly removed, ending with the controlling lifeguard at the shoulders. Very gently, support of the head is transferred to the lifeguard on the pool side, all the time ensuring that the head is in a neutral position. Let's see the rescue from shallow water once more, followed by recovery using a spine board.
It has been suggested that up to 50% of casualties sustaining aquatic spinal injury have the potential for recovery, but the likelihood of recovery will be dramatically reduced and the condition further aggravated if the manner in which the casualty is handled is inappropriate. Wherever possible, a casualty should be stabilized on a spine board with the head supported in a neutral position and kept horizontal throughout the recovery onto the pool side. Those early scenes depicting regimented rescue and resuscitation training may seem outdated, even humorous, but regular training and good discipline are still the hallmarks of the competent lifeguard. Remember, there is one simple rule. Where you suspect spinal injury, there is no room for error.